Hey everyone, welcome back to Wood Carving Artist. If you're new here, this is the channel where we celebrate the world's boldest woodworkers, the finest cuts, and the rawest creativity carved straight into timber. Today's video takes us deep into the heart of Vietnam, where one young craftsman is doing something extraordinary. Armed not with ancient tools, but with modern machines, he brings to life a mythic beast from Asian folklore. That's right, this isn't just any sculpture. He's carving a water dragon, coiling, swirling, and rising with the motion of crashing waves, all out of a single block of wood. The power, the detail, the scale. It's mesmerizing, and you're about to see it all unfold. So grab a seat, hit that like if you love raw talent, and let's dive into this incredible piece of work, one cut at a time. This is where the dragon begins, not in fire, but in sawdust. He studies the wood, sees the beast inside, and lets the chainsaw speak. Every cut is rough, raw, violent, but necessary. The outlines are sketched by hand, not perfect, just enough to guide instinct. He doesn't follow a plan, he follows the grain, and somewhere beneath the surface, the dragon waits, clawed, winged, coiled in silence, and with every roar of the blade, he gets a little closer to waking. Stay with us, the dragon is only beginning to wake, and what comes next will take this creation to an entirely new level. Alright, this is it, the final roar of the chainsaw, the last big cut to lock in the shape. No more rough guessing, no more wild swings. The dragon's body is here now, trapped in wood and ready to rise. From this point on, it's not about brute force anymore. It's about finesse, the details, the magic. We're switching tools, switching pace. And trust me, you'll want to see how this beast starts to breathe. Now we step into the part where patience becomes power and every movement slows down. Because this is no longer about shaping wood, this is about breathing life into it. The chainsaw rests and the grinder takes its place. Not loud, but precise. The dragon begins to emerge, not from force, but from feel. His hands are steady, guided by instinct, not sketch lines, but memory. The horns twist first, wild, rising like they're catching wind. Then the eyes, carved deep, calm, but full of fire. You can feel them watching, even before they're finished. The beard flows next, each whisker drawn like a story, every swell, every strand, curling into the storm around him. Then down the neck, the spine, the scales take over. Each one a rhythm overlapping like armor. He doesn't rush, because rushing breaks the magic. He carves the air around the dragon too. Clouds, flames, ancient symbols spiraling through wood. This isn't decoration, it's mythology, chiseled into motion. The pearl floats near the chest, radiant, powerful, guarded by the coils of a beast that never sleeps. And all around him, dust, movement, silence between the cuts. This isn't craft, it's a ritual. And he's not just making a dragon, he's uncovering one that waited, buried deep inside this block of wood, waiting for someone brave enough, patient enough to wake it. People think carving is about tools, strength, maybe even talent, but no. It's about listening to a block of wood that doesn't speak in words, only in resistance, in rhythm, in silence. He doesn't force the dragon to appear, he invites it, and it only shows itself to those who don't rush, those who don't cut too deep or hesitate too long. Each line he draws now isn't just about the shape, it's about intention. The flow of the body has to make sense, not just to the eye, but to the hand, the weight of the curl, the direction of the claw, the expression in a single eyelid. And he's not just thinking about the dragon, he's thinking about the story it holds. Maybe it's strength, maybe it's legacy. Maybe it's the quiet reminder that some things in this world only reveal themselves when we slow down enough to notice. Look at the texture now. The fine dust falling like golden snow, the surface rippling like skin over muscle. Every groove catches light in a different way. Some sharp, some soft, but all of it speaks the same truth. This didn't come from guessing. It came from hundreds of hours, thousands of decisions, most of which no one will ever see, and yet he knows each one of them. Every corner of this dragon is personal, not because he signed it, but because he fought for it. The workshop is quiet now, just the hum of the grinder, the occasional shift of his feet on the dust-covered floor. The dragon is almost done, but that doesn't mean he's close to stopping. The closer he gets to the end, the more the pressure builds, because the final details matter the most. They don't just complete the piece, they define it. The way the lip curls at the edge of a snarl, the way a single fang breaks the rhythm of symmetry, the way one broken scale tells you this dragon has survived something. He steps back sometimes, not to rest, but to see it from a distance, to ask himself, does it breathe? Does it speak without sound? Because if it doesn't, he's not done. And even when he is done carving, he isn't finished. The sanding begins, the polishing, the oiling, layer by layer. The grain comes alive, the wood darkens, the highlights pop. And the dragon, the same one that used to live inside an old log in the corner of his shop, now looks ready to move, to roar, to fly. And when he finally stops, when he finally puts down the tool, he doesn't smile, he doesn't celebrate, he just exhales, like he's been holding his breath this whole time, because he knows this dragon isn't his anymore. It belongs to the wood, to the people who'll see it, to the space it will live in. He was just the one chosen to bring it out. Now this is where the magic happens. The dragon is here. No longer just a shape, but a spirit taking form. And now it's time to give it identity, time to give it breath. He leans in closer. The grinder changes. Smaller, faster, sharper, and his hands move slow, like he's afraid to startle the beast. This isn't carving anymore. This is whispering into wood. Every line has to count. The tip of the horn, the curve of the brow, even a single missed angle can change everything. So he doesn't rush it. Not now, not this close. The eyes come first, and they are not just round holes. They are live, narrow, focused, slightly angled like they've seen centuries pass. He doesn't carve them wide. No, he gives them intensity, quiet rage, ancient wisdom. And when the light hits them just right, you could swear they are watching you back. Then the nostrils, deep, flared, breathing smoke that only he can see. The snout is layered with detail, veins, texture, wrinkles like folded leather, aged but powerful. Then comes the mouth. And here's where it gets real. Because a dragon's mouth isn't just teeth, it's purpose, it's fire. And every fang he shapes, every groove in the gum line speaks of power, held back, just barely. The whiskers now, long and flowing, twirling into the wind like ink from a calligraphy brush. These aren't added later, they are capped from the same block. Bent in place by patience alone, no cracks, no splinters, just flow. It's one of the hardest parts, and one of the most beautiful, and he knows it, so his hands tremble, but just a little. Tomo, because at this point, his heart's doing most of the work. Now, the scales, the pattern wraps from the back of the head down to the shoulders, not just rows, but overlapping waves, some chipped, some larger. Because perfection isn't the goal, realism is, and no real dragon is flawless. It's the scars that tell the story. He circles back, adds shadows into the sockets, brushes away dust from the cheekbones, and steps back for a second, not to admire, but to see if it feels right, if it breathes, if it looks like it might move. And in that still moment, even the air around it feels different, like the room knows something sacred is being finished. He switches tools again, this time for the tiniest burr, and touches up the claws, the sharp ends of the scales, the micro grooves along the tail curl, everything the eye might miss but the hand can feel. And this attention to the unseen, that's where the difference lives. That's where mastery lives. The dragon's posture crawls now, not in defense, but in readiness, a serpent in command of its world, head high, back arched, tail coiled like a spring. And every muscle, every fold, every strand of beard or horn supports that pose. He doesn't just make it look good, he makes it feel inevitable. And now, after hours, days, weeks, maybe longer, he takes off his mask, brushes the dust from his face, looks at the dragon one last time, and says nothing, because nothing needs to be said. The piece speaks for itself. Now, it roars in silence, and in that still moment, wood became memory. If this piece moved you, if you felt the breath behind the wood, the spirit inside the shape, leave a comment below. Tell us what you saw in the dragon. What part spoke to you the most? And if you want to follow the journey from raw timber to living legend, don't forget to subscribe, because every block of wood holds a new story, and we're just getting started. Every piece begins the same way, just a block of wood, silent, heavy, unmoving, but to the right hands, that silence is full of potential. He doesn't rush in, he doesn't force it. He starts by listening, by touching the surface, by sketching with chalk, not to draw the dragon, but to find it. And once the lines are there, he picks up the saw and the work begins. The first cuts are bold, deep, almost violent. The chainsaw roars across the wood, slicing through years of grain and resistance. This isn't the dragon yet, this is just the path to it. Thick layers of timber fall away. The shape starts to reveal itself. And in those rough, uneven lines, something ancient begins to wake. Then comes the switch. The grinder replaces the saw. And with it, the energy changes. No more brute force. This is where precision takes over. He leans in close, eyes narrowed, hands steady, and the dragon begins to breathe. The horns twist first, bold curves that rise from the skull like smoke frozen in time. Then the brows furrowed, not with anger, but with purpose. The eyes are narrow, intense. They don't shout, they watch, they wait. Whiskers stretch forward, delicate, dancing mid-air, carved from the same block, not added later. Each one a test of patience, each one proof of control. The snout curls downward, sharp, purposeful, every detail working together to tell you this dragon wasn't born gentle. He carves the beard next, a storm of chaos and flame, tangled but flowing, wild but symmetrical, and all around it the head grows heavier, more lifelike, like it's about to turn and stare you down. Then the neck, a line of scales that cascade like armor, no two exactly the same, each one shaped by instinct. He doesn't trace a pattern, he follows the rhythm of the form, carving with both hands and heart. The body wraps with a powerful curl, the tail swings low and forward, the claws tense like they're gripping the very wind, muscles form beneath the scales, ridges ripple across the spine, and all the while he checks it from every angle, not just to make sure it's balanced, but to make sure it feels alive. Then the pearl, the sacred symbol, sits cradled in the coils, a burst of polished wood that glows among the shadows, surrounded by waves and flame, every curve carved to echo the dragon's breath, every edge shaped to hold energy in place. He spends hours in silence now, sanding, polishing, brushing away the dust with bare fingers, adjusting shadows in the eyes, tracing the lines of the beard again and again until it flows just right. He's not rushing the end, he's respecting it. And finally, it's done. The dragon stands tall, coiled but ready, still but fierce, every inch alive with movement. The wood no longer looks like wood, it looks like story. It looks like legacy. He lifts it onto the red pedestal. The contrast is perfect. Golden tones meeting firewood floors, a sculpture surrounded by sawdust. But no longer part of it. Now it's art. Now it's memory. People walk by and stare, some in awe, some in silence, because they know they're not just looking at a dragon, they're looking at a time and effort and discipline. The kind of discipline that doesn't show up in a day or a week, but in every small decision made along the way. And when he steps back, he doesn't speak, he doesn't point, he just lets the dragon speak for itself. Because the truth is, this dragon was always here, waiting in the wood, waiting to be seen, waiting to be believed in, waiting for him